Football Friday is the best high school football coverage going, and it's presented by Wilson Bank and Trust, your trusted local bank since 1987. By Josh Houston and Associates, a one-source scholastic experience. By Star Physical Therapy, committed to serve. And by Metro Nashville Police Department, serving Nashville with pride. And now, let's get to the action. Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on what is a beautiful Friday. Boy, the weather could not be nicer. And, of course, we are at our digs at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. Billy, say hello very quickly.
Hello.
I am excited about our first guest in Football Friday. I used to have his brother on when Matt was a Tennessee Titan. The first time I had him on, Matt tells me, he says, "You talk funny." He said, "You've got a Southern accent." I said, "You don't know what a Southern accent is." I said, "Mine is normal." And I said, "You've probably never even been to the South." And he goes, "I've been to Cincinnati." I loved Matt Hasselbeck. So I have not met Tim, but let me just say this. The work he does on Sunday nights with Scott Van Pelt, if you're a football fan, that is a must-watch segment because you learn stuff. Tim is, of course, also the head coach at Ensworth. They are undefeated at 7-0. Tim, sorry I haven't met you, but, man, I am a fan.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the introduction. Matthew has a wicked hot Boston accent, and so you're right to say that he's the one that talks funny. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and I appreciate the way that you guys have covered high school football. I've been able to watch it, and now thankful as a coach that you guys will cover it.
Hey, what is Matthew doing now?
Well, so he is our offensive coordinator, and he's done a really good job. It's been fun to coach with him. It's been fun to have him around, and I think so many of our players have learned a lot from him. And you know this just from having him on your show that he's witty, he's funny. He definitely has a gift to communicate, and I think that's been really cool for our kids to be able to experience that.
So I'm going to assume that, given your football background, not much has surprised you, but has anything kind of caught you off guard that you said, "Wow, I didn't realize this until I sat in this seat"?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot. There are a lot of things, that I think have caught me off guard. I mean, I knew there would be a lot of things, and there definitely is a lot that's caught me off guard. At the same time, I'm really fortunate to be at a school like Ensworth that, the kids are great. The families are great. The coaches that we have on our staff are great. And so anytime that, that something's come up that's got me off guard, there's somebody here to, give advice or have perspective. And so, on that front, like that part of it's been fantastic. And so, I think the thing that I would say that I'm most pleased with, I guess, is that, we've challenged our kids for sure, both offensively and defensively in terms of learning stuff. Like Matthew, good example of stuff that he wants to do on offense. And our kids have done such a great job learning it and being willing to learn it. So that's been a surprise, but a pleasant one.
I'm guessing it also helps the background. You bring me in as head coach, they're going, what are your qualifications? Where I would assume you get instant credibility for the name, having played the game. And, oh, by the way, our coach is on national TV every Sunday night.
Well, they could also Google me as well and see that I once had a comb over and had a 0 quarterback rating in a game too. So I think that could work both ways. But listen, I hope that we've benefited from that. I just like to give you a specific example of, I don't know, credibility leading to trust, hopefully. Like we have a player, his name is Brandon Collins. He's a senior, and he was a linebacker last year. And what we kind of saw in him was somebody that would be a really good defensive lineman. And we asked him to move to defensive line. He did it, and I think was nervous about it, but I think he trusted us some on it. And I don't know that there's been a more disruptive defensive lineman in high school football this year than Brandon Collins. And, it's gotten the attention of a lot of colleges, and rightfully so. And so, yeah, I hope that some of that, maybe does make it easier for kids to kind of believe and buy into what we're trying to do.
Tim, in a minute, Billy Derrick will ask you some questions, but understand up front, he's wearing a Father Ryan shirt. He went to school there, and I'm about to puke.
Sorry, Coach.
What kind of challenges do they present you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think like every team in our league, one of the things people said to me, when I, took this job was, well, hey, you know how competitive that league is. And I'm like, oh, I'm aware. I'm well aware, how talented the kids are, how good the coaching is. And so, it probably sounds a little bit like coach speak, but, the reality is there are a lot of really good coaches in our league. There's a lot of really good players in our league. And it's obviously evidenced by, the year, Father Ryan is having so far. Right. And so, and I think with that, the big thing for us, and it, again, I didn't think I'd ever turn into one of these coaches, but I really feel like for us, especially when you're dealing with high school kids, is like you can beat yourself. Right. And I think that's one of the things we've done a good job of is not beating ourselves. And so that's really the key for us. But when you look at them, okay, they've got really talented kids that'll go play college football on the offensive line. They've got a quarterback who's a very talented multi-sport athlete. They have corners that are big, tall, long, and I believe one of them is going to play at the Naval Academy. And you start to just add those things up of the talent that will be on the field. And then you understand that they're well coached. We know that we've got a really big challenge ahead of us tonight.
Coach, let's talk about your son, Taylor, the starting quarterback. Obviously, this offense has been rolling this season. You guys, I think at one point through 4 games, had a combined score of 159-20, just really, really showing what you guys can do on offense. Where has Taylor improved this season? And, what's the potential for him and this offense the rest of the season? What has been clicking for you guys?
Yeah, well, I think that we've been able to be really balanced on offense, which has probably helped everybody. And we have a lot of, two-way players. And so being balanced has kind of been a form of complementary football just to our kids and the number of snaps that they take. A lot of people don't know. I mean, we, between our varsity and JV rosters have 45 boys on it. And, so that's between 2 teams. And so because of that, our style of offense has been balanced, and that's benefited us. And in terms of Taylor, he's done a really good job of, he hadn't played, varsity football before this season. And so he's done an amazing job making good decisions, being accurate with the football, taking care of the football. And, and I think that we put so much on him mentally with the various things we do and the different personnel groupings and the number of different pass protections and things in the run game, that we put so much on him that probably goes a little unseen, that, we're really pleased with the progress that he's made in terms of getting us into the right looks and just doing the right thing offensively.
Let's go to the defensive side. Obviously, Ethan Utley, Tennessee commit. You mentioned Brandon Collins, Sam Haley at linebacker there headed to TCU. It's been really impressive to see what the defense has done as well. What about that defense makes them so nasty and so physical?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the players. We have talented kids that are playing on that side of the ball and on the other side of the ball, because all those guys that you mentioned play offense as well. But our defensive coordinator Dylan Sanders has done a really good job of taking complex things and making them simple so our kids can play fast. And then when you do that with guys like Ethan and Brandon and Sam, and we have a couple of juniors that are playing, actually 3 juniors that are playing in the secondary that they've been able to fly around. That's really helped us. Just our defense playing fast, even if it's within a number of different defensive play calls. And so that part of it has really been fantastic. And we had a big injury to start the season with one of our senior linebackers, Jack Watts. And then, we have a junior that stepped into his spot, Blake Surratt, who's played really well. So we do feel like we have a pretty balanced football team. So I appreciate you, asking, about both sides of the ball. And I think that's one of the reasons we've had success. It's definitely been complementary in terms of, each side kind of doing their part.
I know Tim knows this, George. I don't know if you know this, but tonight is a battle of 2 former Titans quarterbacks. Zach Mettenberger, offensive coordinator at Father Ryan.
Oh, wow.
Matt there at Ensworth, which I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah.
What about Zach Mettenberger and just former NFL quarterbacks? I know not every former NFL quarterback has an interest in becoming a high school coach or high school offensive coordinator. So what translates and maybe what has been the challenge for Matt and maybe even for Mettenberger to use the talent you have to show that you can have success with high school players?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that there's obviously a perspective as a quarterback, in terms of offense and being coached by the people that have coached you and that influence on how you see the game. And I think the challenge ends up being, whether it's for Zach or whether it's for Matthew or actually Alex Hornibrook, if you remember him, he played quarterback at Wisconsin. He's a coach on our coaching staff. I think that as a quarterback, you're shaped by the people that have coached you, but it's still important to go back and say, okay, but when I was 14, 15, 16, and I was learning, like, what could I digest? What did I understand? What could be taught to me? And so I think that, that's probably the challenge, for anybody that's been involved in the game for a really long time, but wants to coach and help, develop, a young player that's playing at that position. So, Zach's obviously done a really good job there. Their quarterback has had a very good year. As I said before, he's a multi-sport athlete. And so, that's cool to see too in this day and age. I mean, it's kind of like we have going on. We don't have a single football player that's a one-sport athlete at Ensworth. And I guess in this day of specialization, it's really cool. But it also, does present a challenge as a coach to say, all right, well, he might be playing in baseball tournaments all summer long. How can we, develop him as a quarterback or a receiver or as a fullback? And so that's, hopefully where some of the expertise of, being an NFL player or college player and, being able to take the things you learn and the important stuff and teach them to these multi-sport athletes.
Hey, Tim, before we let you go, I got to ask this. Most people will consume a Scott Van Pelt Sports Center as a sports fan. I do it a little differently. I've spent almost 5 decades as a broadcaster, and I watch him and I see not only humor, I see the ability to read a teleprompter, but I see him and I know people are yapping in his head. Debo Samuels is ready. Then go to the press conference. Nothing flusters him. Tell me about it.
Well, listen, first, I thought you were – I was glad that you didn't say you were watching for bad beats. I'm happy that was not where you were going with that. That makes me feel a little better for you. Look, you're exactly right. I think that sometimes there are guys that make difficult things look easy. And obviously with, your background and being in, this side of things in terms of, the broadcast business, for so long and having the experience and, I'm honestly probably at times learning on the fly, right? Like of, how things work. I think that you just naturally have an appreciation for, probably the challenge of, okay, I'm about to read this highlight. No, I'm not. They just told me Debo's ready. Now
Yes.
I'm going to interview him. And listen, and this, like, he might give you a great answer, or he could give you a one-word answer. And sure enough, to your point, whether it's, Scott's humor or just, way about him, that he could handle it all. So I think between that, being just an incredible sports fan, and then being a really good human being, why he's so fun to watch. And I'm thankful, as you could imagine, I'm thankful to be on the show with him every week.
Tim, I'm thankful that you came on with us. I knew this would be really good stuff. I look forward to meeting you sometime in the near future. Good luck tonight.
Thank you. We'd love to have you out for a Friday night game. So let's make that happen. We'd love it.
It will absolutely happen. Thank you so much, Tim.
See you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
The show's off and running on a great start with Tim Hasselbeck. That family, having gotten to know Matthew a little bit, the first time I met Matthew, first of all, he ragged on me big time. It was like having Kelly on. But, Matthew is another one that's got great broadcast skills.
Yeah.
And I always thought when he retired, he'd go straight into the broadcast world. But anyway.
Yeah, Matthew's got a son at UCLA, I think, playing football right now. So
does he really?
Yeah, big time football family, and that's a really good coaching staff. I mean, a former Wisconsin quarterback, a lot of quarterbacks. That's impressive.
How come you never said to him, my brother's the quarterback, you take it easy on him?
He doesn't need that. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, after the break, Football Friday will continue. By the way, the Tim Hasselbeck interview brought to you by the folks at Josh Houston and Associates. When we come back, George Robinson from the Tennessean to talk about the big games tonight, one of which involves my alma mater. Stay tuned.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Well, one of the benefits on this week number, Billy, is it 8?
8, yep.
Hard to believe it's number 8, is it will be perfect weather anywhere and everywhere in the state of Tennessee you can hear or see this show. With that in mind, we say hello to Tennessean sports writer George Robinson, who contributes each week with some great stuff. As you can tell, he is very wired in to the high school football scene here. George, thanks for coming on as always.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
So I'm going out to see my alma mater tonight, BGA and FRA, Battleground Academy, Franklin Road Academy, and I'm told this is going to be a terrific football game. What do you think?
I think it is. I'll be there myself, so we'll probably see each other. Probably run into each other for what, the second, third time this year?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really good football game. I mean, FRA just absolutely dominated Davidson Academy last week, and I thought it was a little bit, maybe a tad bit misleading because Davidson Academy relies so heavily on their running back, Caden Stroud. They really didn't do a lot of passing the ball, didn't have a lot of success passing the ball. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of that has to do with FRA's defense, but I just felt like FRA, or at least Davidson Academy, was a little bit overmatched against FRA. I think this game tonight against BGA is going to be a whole lot closer. I was talking with our sports director, Tom Krager, who I'm sure most people in Middle Tennessee are familiar with, or all of Tennessee are familiar with in high school sports. He said that he felt like this game could possibly be a lot like the BGA CPA game. And of course, that's BGA's only loss this year was against CPA. But FRA plays sort of a similar style in terms of their physicality. FRA is physical up front. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball as well. But I don't know that FRA has faced an offense as varied and as dynamic as BGA. So I think that might be a little bit of the that might even the playing field a little bit for BGA. Maybe BGA isn't as physical, but man, they sure can. They sure can score some points.
George, is it as simple as one of the things at stake tonight is that they're probably going to play each other come postseason, and the winner tonight probably gets the home field?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get into this portion of the season, you're talking home playoff games. Obviously, you're talking. You're looking at a little bit of how deep of a run you can make, and certainly these two teams could possibly find themselves across the field from each other during the playoffs. But I don't think that's going to. Neither one of these teams are going to hold anything back. I don't think they're saving any plays for the postseason. Maybe they will. I don't know. I know Coach Bentley. He's got a very a lengthy playbook that he kind of pulls from. So maybe he's got a few little tricks up his sleeve for the playoffs. But I could easily see these two teams, playing in the postseason against one another with an opportunity to, get to Chattanooga in December. But I think this is going to be I think this is going to be a close one. I have to say, I do like BGA just in terms of being able to pull this one out because of how good and how skilled that those offensive players are.
All right, George, I'm fired up tonight. Father Ryan has a big test as they travel to Ensworth. Both teams, I mean, you could argue in Division II AAA, that's a really good region, but those two teams have been at the top all season. Father Ryan 5-1, they're 2-0 in the region. Ensworth 7-0. 1-0 in the region. The craziest stat you have here in your preview in the Tennessean this morning, Ensworth has allowed only 6 total points in their past 5 games with 3 shutouts, which is ridiculous. A lot of talent all over the field, obviously, for Ensworth, but this is a more talented Father Ryan team than we're used to seeing. So what are you expecting tonight? Obviously, the Tigers are well coached with the Hasselbecks and Taylor there at quarterback, but man, I'm excited. What can you expect tonight?
Well, I know you're excited. I don't know if I'm sure you read the article that Tyler Palmatier did a couple of weeks ago on the Derrick family. So I know how excited you are. But you're right. I mean, this is a much more talented Father Ryan team, and Ensworth they've just been playing as good as they are offensively. I think they're probably better defensively, and I think that's what separated them this year. And this is going to be a tall order for Father Ryan. I can tell you this. I can see Father Ryan pulling this out. And if they do, the rest of Division II AAA better watch out. And I'm including Baylor in that because, obviously Baylor is head and shoulders above everybody else right now. But, Father Ryan, like you said, they've just been really, really playing well this year. This Ensworth team that they're going to face tonight, probably the best team they'll face in the regular season. And so it's one of those games where this has kind of been eagerly anticipated since I don't know, probably about week 3 or so, week 4. Once you kind of get a sense of how these teams, after the first few weeks, you kind of get a sense of how good these teams actually are. And once they start getting into region play and figuring out, where the cream starts to rise. And these are two teams that have certainly risen to the top. So it's going to be a really, really interesting matchup. But like you said, Ensworth hasn't allowed a lot of points in the past, 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. And it's going to be a tall order for Father Ryan, but I can see them winning this game.
All right, let's go over to Division II AAA East region. A couple of teams that you just look back a few years, maybe even 2 years ago, George. These two teams were at the top in this region, but NBA 3-4, they're back to 1-1. They're 500 in the region, so they need this one tonight. But Lipscomb desperately just needs something to start going their way. Lipscomb Academy, as you noted here, which is interesting, they gave 8th grade star Ty Snell some varsity minutes in their loss to Christian Brothers at quarterback. He threw for 148 yards. Obviously they needed a spark, but what do you expect to see here, NBA Lipscomb Academy?
Well, that's an interesting tidbit with Ty Snell. I don't know that I've ever covered a high school football game where an 8th grader has played significant minutes. And they gave the 8th grader Ty Snell, Lipscomb Academy gave that kid some significant minutes last week, and he performed well. Now, this is not your typical 8th grader. I mean, he's 6'2" and probably about 185, 190 pounds. I mean, this is a big kid. He's a big 8th grader. So physically, I think he can withstand the varsity minutes. It's just a matter of him gaining experience and playing in significant games. And this is going to be a significant game. I know Lipscomb County's 1-5 right now, and NBA's playing better. But with Lipscomb County's defense, I don't think they're ever out of a game. So. It's going to be interesting to see how much time they give the Ty Snell kid and how many minutes he ends up playing in this game, because like you said, he gave him a spark last week with 148 yards. So, and that was against the Christian Brothers of Missouri, which is a very, very good team in Missouri. So you got to figure, as the season wears on, we know Lipscomb Academy isn't going to be eligible for the postseason because of that 2-year ban they had that began last year and goes into this year. So they really don't have anything to lose. They're looking. Right now they're looking at the future, and right now the future is Ty Snell. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it's going to be two very, very young quarterbacks possibly in this game. I say possibly because I don't know how many minutes they'll give Ty Snell, but he's an 8th grader. NBA's quarterback is a freshman, Charlie Varner. So so you're talking two really young quarterbacks that could be matched up against each other tonight.
Yeah, Werner's getting better each week. He's going to be a really good player down the road. Last game on the docket here, George, Beach in Henry County. And you noted in your preview, Henry County beat Beach last year. That broke a 5-game losing streak to Beach. So obviously there's some motivation for the Buccaneers tonight. They've been rolling this year. They're undefeated in Region 7 5A. This one should be interesting. Can Henry County make it 2 years in a row?
I think they can. I'm a little bit concerned about their loss to Portland last week. That kind of surprised me. I think that was Portland's first win against Henry County ever. The two teams haven't played a whole lot. I think maybe 5 or 6 games during the course of their, during the course of the span of those schools. But Henry County and Portland were in 2 completely different classifications for a long time. So now that Portland's in 5A and was able to upset Henry County, that was a big win for them and a little bit concerning for Henry County because Henry County prides itself on winning the games that it needs to win. They always play a tough schedule. I know that from Coach Counts, James Counts, the coach in Paris. I've known him for a long time. I know he likes to schedule difficult opponents. Obviously this is a region game, and Beach is formidable. I mean, they're ranked in Class 5A in our USA Today, top 10 rankings in each class. And Henry County was ranked for the vast majority of the season. They dropped out, I think, after losing to Portland. But it's always a difficult. Going to Paris and playing is always difficult. It's not the easiest place to get to. There's not a lot of places to go in Paris. Sorry for all you Paris fans out there that are, or all you Henry County fans are from Paris who are listening. There just isn't a whole lot in Paris, Tennessee. So that whole community comes out and they are loud and they blow that train horn. That if you're standing next to that train horn, it'll deafen you for sure. So it's going to be that's going to be a really difficult, I think, proposition for Beach. But Beach has been playing so well in Henry County, not so much over the past few weeks, that I kind of like Beach. I like Beach to go into Paris and pull out a win.
George, I think what you just said was Friday Night Lights.
There you go.
Speaking of which, I'll see you later tonight, and let's hope the right team wins.
Okay. I have no dog in the race, but I know who you're rooting for.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, get your bowling ready because I need you as a celebrity bowler again at the start of December.
I am there. I still have my T-shirt from last year, and I wear it constantly. And anytime I'm out in the community, if I can, I put that T-shirt on just to let everybody know that I'm a celebrity.
I love that. You've made my day. All I can tell you is it'll be Columbia blue this year.
All righty, I'm ready for it.
Okay, talk to you.
You do know I cannot bowl though.
You also know I really don't care. That, you know what, George?
That's not a requirement.
That's one of the funny things about what I decided to do with a charity event. Most people do a golf tournament, and you know how serious people take it.
Oh,
the bowling, they could care less. And the amount of trash talk and side bets and you suck and you're not. That's what I love about that event. is nobody
Yeah,
cares.
it's great. It's great. And last year I got paired with some really, really, really good bowlers who bowling like 295, 298, 299. And here I am bowling like a 78, a 79, and they're trying to teach me how to bowl. I'm like, look, I know how to bowl. I just can't bowl well.
Let's get you to 100 this year.
We can only wish.
Talk to you tonight.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
George Robinson, he's been a wonderful contributor to the Football Friday part of our show. When we come back, we're going to try to accomplish two things. Number one, we're going to tell you about our new broadcast plans. And secondly, Holly Taylor from Star Physical Therapy to talk about something that I not only don't know what she's talking about, I can barely pronounce it. Stay tuned. As you might be able to tell, my buddy Stan Harrison, he's an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, but he's actually here to talk about Apple Collision Centers.
Hello, Middle Tennessee. I'm Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers, and we understand the stress it causes in having an automobile accident. We can help you ease the stress of the auto body repair process at our 3 locations. We're conveniently located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. We've got rental cars available, we have PDR technicians available, and we have windshield technicians available. Please stop by one of our places and see us if you need our services.
And by the way, when you come in his office, this just in, he's a sports fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you need to contact Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you are a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. Check them out today at pancoastbenefits.com or call 615-292-3400.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Okay, some of you already know this, and if you do, my apologies for continuing to cram it down your throat. We're very excited. Monday, we begin kind of a new chapter in this show, and it will be with a new start time, 3 to 5 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan. The reason's very simple. We wanted more people to be able to hear this show, and we feel really good about what they've got going on. As you know, this is kind of their sister station to 102.5 The Game. And Chase McCabe and that entire crew have been great. I look for a lot of fun stuff as we cross promote between the two groups. Be fun for me to reunite with Willie, who obviously I got started in broadcasting 150 million years ago, and there's some others there. Robbie Stanley, who I've been close. Derek Mason and I have had a lot of fun over the years.
My favorite is Underdog Picks when you combine D-May, Chris Sanders, and Kelly.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
The amount of trash talk. Anyway, hope you will join us Monday. We're actually going to have a text line for questions and comments. This is a big technological breakthrough for me, as you can imagine.
Sign of a Sports Illustrated apocalypse.
Absolutely. So we're very excited about that. Holly Taylor from Star Physical Therapy is listening to all this going, oh my God, what are they talking about? But normally when Holly and I do the health tip each week during the Football Friday segment, I have some clue what we're getting into. This one, I don't even know how to say right. So I'm holding my phone to make sure I say this right. Exertional compartment syndrome versus acute compartment syndrome. Holly.
You nailed it.
You're talking Greek to me.
You nailed it. You did a great job.
Well, it took me, if you'd heard the first go round, as I privately tried to do it in my head, I absolutely butchered it. So what are you talking about when you give me that? I don't even have a clue.
Right. So I guess like anatomy lesson would be first. And so your body, have all these muscle groups, and these muscle groups are surrounded by kind of a covering called fascia. That's kind of what holds them together. And so if you think about your lower leg, if you took a small bucket and you put like those, those big tubes of cookie dough, right? If you put 4 of those in a bucket, imagine if you took a cross slice of your leg and looked down, that's what you would see. So you would see the 2 bones in there, and then you see these big bundles, different groupings that have the muscles, arteries, veins, and nerves in them.
Okay, I've got you so far. Keep going.
Right. Right. So with acute compartment syndrome, what happens is, there's some kind of severe trauma that happens to a body part. And we're going to talk about the lower leg because it's kind of most common there. You can have a big leg fracture, burns, if you have a severe contusion, like some people get like crush injuries, or, you take a big hit to the leg and you have a lot of swelling in there. So if you imagine those cookie dough rolls, the plastic that covers them, imagine that plastic really doesn't have much give. And so if you have a lot of swelling within one of those compartments, it starts to push upon the nerves, the arteries, the veins, and the muscles themselves. And so what you can get is symptoms from that. You're going to have a lot of pain. You're going to have some numbness and tingling. You may lose circulation and feeling in that area. And so the acute part, when it's very severe, it's actually a medical emergency. And so those, you want to get to the ER right away, get to your doctor right away, and they do what's called a big fasciotomy, where they cut that open and basically release all the pressure. That's kind of a big one.
Okay. So let me ask this. Is numbness the hint, the easiest hint that something's wrong?
It can be. When it comes to the acute one, they call the 5 Ps: pain, pallor, paresthesia, pulse, and paralysis. So obviously all that compression is going to cause a lot of pain. Pallor, because you don't have some of that circulation happening, you're going to get some paleness in the skin in that area. The paresthesia is your numbness and tingling. Pulse, you're going to lose some of your pulse in that foot. And then paralysis, you're going to have a weakness, or that muscle is going to shut down altogether. And usually you're going to have some combination of those in a severe way for the acute portion of the compartment syndrome. When it comes to exertional, which we can also say chronic, chronic is also a very big term for this. 95% of these are in the lower leg. Most of these are going to be, that 20-year-old group, but it's that under 30 can happen with the high school kids. And usually the activities that are most common is going to be long distance runners, soccer players, basketball players, field hockey, skiers, lacrosse is kind of your common ones. That's the people who are doing repetitive impact activities.
Okay, let me try this one, because there's a parent or two out there listening right now, hour and a half before their son's game tonight, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is serious stuff." For the parents, what kind of things should they be looking for if they start to get the hint that something's really not right?
Yeah, most of what we're going to see in the high school kids is going to be the chronic version. And so, their kid's going to come to complain to them, like, hey, like during the game, my foot's going numb. I kind of lose feeling a little bit. My leg feels really weak. And then like usually about 15 minutes after practice, it goes away because the swelling within those compartments dies down. And science hasn't really figured out why some people have so much engorgement in a compartment for the exertional type where there's no severe trauma as to why that happens. But the big clue is going to be you're going to have some of that numbness, tingling, you're going to have that weakness, and it's going to be consistent. It's going to be consistent with every time I go to practice or I'm running, like I'm 15 minutes in and it starts every single time. It's those kind of consistent clues that says maybe we should get this checked out and go see an orthopedic and get it looked at.
Okay, you've kind of told me there what the answer is for a parent. Now, let me shift gears for a minute, because we're getting closer to the point that Tua will end up announcing that he's coming back. I'll bet my bottom dollar that's what's going to happen. I don't agree with it, but it's also not my life we're dealing with. It's his, and each person has to make their own decisions. So once he comes back, what things do you recommend that he or anybody that might be in this kind of situation do to try to minimize future concussion kind of stuff?
Yeah, definitely. And I think one kind of two big ones is just going to be technique, really working on tackling properly, making sure your head is up. You're not using your head as a battering ram. He talked about taking jiu-jitsu classes to learn how to tackle better and slide and all that. But, that last play, if you remember, he totally leaned in and hit with his head. Like, that's going to almost guarantee you a lot of times that things are not going to go well for you. Yeah. That's why they outlawed spearing, and strengthening. I think that's a good one. Just neck strength, upper body strength to where, you can handle those kind of hits going on. And just kind of just the nutrition stuff on top of it. Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Are you taking care of yourself and taking care of your brain? And just letting people know, like, hey, when things are not feeling right, you got to let somebody know. That's a big one, especially when it comes to kids.
Okay, the latest in a series of dumb questions. How do you strengthen your neck?
I tell you, there's a lot of good stuff out there. You go on Google and YouTube, there's a lot of good isometric and isotonic type exercises for the neck, and the upper body, the shoulder area. Thrower's 10 is a good one. Just do your research and see what works out best for you.
You have great answers, and a lot of times it's to bad questions, dumb questions. Thank you. Tell Kelly Ziegler I said hello. And,
absolutely, you're welcome.
I know what he'll be doing tomorrow night around 6 o'clock, and you do too.
That's right.
You'll be watching the Vols and the Florida Gators. Holly, as always, thanks for the visit.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Holly Taylor gives us great tips through the folks at Star Physical Therapy as we conclude our Football Friday coverage. Let me leave you with this thought. Even if you don't have a dog in the hunt tonight, the weather is great. The temperatures have cooled a little bit. Find a high school game and go to it, because those high school kids are your college and pro stars of the future. It's just a fact. Stay tuned. We have Stat of the Day and then the happiest man in Nashville, Terry McCormick, getting ready to join us with his daily Titans update. Here's why he's happy. The Yankees have moved on to the American League Championship Series. And you know what? Not out of the realm of possibility that we're going to have another Subway Series. Mets and Yankees still alive. That'd be some fun. Stay tuned.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Wrapping up this first hour, it's now time for Stat of the Day. And we're going a little hockey.
Oh, Lord.
So here we go. Macklin Celebrini was electric in his NHL debut last night, scoring the second fastest first NHL goal for a number one pick. Which number one pick has the fastest first goal?
Okay, let's bring Terry McCormick into this so that I can, sort of, deflect my inabilities here. Maybe dump some of it in his lap. I know. There he is. Hello, Terry.
How are you, George? Yeah, you would pick hockey for me to help out this
Absolutely.
Saturday. I appreciate that.
So let me ask this question, right? And Billy, you stay out of this. Could it be Connor Bedard?
Perhaps. Was Connor McDavid a number 1 overall choice?
Connor McDavid, I'm almost certain was. And in fact, I kind of think we ought to go with him. What do you think?
Either him or Bobby Orr or Gordie Howe or Wayne Gretzky. That Bobby Hull. That kind of encapsulates my entire knowledge of hockey history right there.
I love it. Billy, show us Connor Bedard. Yeah, what?
Mario Lemieux.
Yeah. I mean,
could have thrown that name out there.
Yeah, it was in the ballpark of thought. So
nice try.
Yeah. So we were 1 of 5 this week. And honestly, Kelly got the 1.
So you're on the Mendoza line.
Yeah, I don't think we got Billy. I don't think we got
that. Has never happened.
Is that the only one that we got?
I think so.
Yeah. Well,
you're on the Mendoza line, batting 200.
Mario Mendoza.
Hopefully, you have a little bit of power to show for the 200 average. Maybe like Dave Kingman or Joey Gallo or something.
This is Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com, feeling his oats. Oh, Lord. Must we?
We must.
Are you surprised Kansas City didn't get more done at home?
A little bit. I mean, but when you get to looking at the Royals lineup, they are Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and then after that, they're a lot of role players. They're not a lot of guys who you can count on to deliver. Now, they do have pretty good starting pitching. I'll give them that. And their back end of their bullpen, certainly much better than the back end of the Yankees bullpen has been for most of the season. But I think the Royals probably are one more offensive piece away from really being where they want to be.
Okay, and I'll give you one that I no longer think's available, and that's Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso would think about that lineup. He'd have fit in nicely somewhere.
Yeah. My fear is that Pete Alonso ends up in Boston because he would be great in Fenway Park with his swing.
Oh, yeah. Well, the way he hits it, he'd be good virtually anywhere other than, like Mammoth Cave. So what's the talk up there? Is there an excitement level about a potential Subway Series?
I think so. I mean, I think there has to be. Personally, I would rather see the Yankees and the Dodgers kind of harkening back, much like the Yankees and the Royals. I'd like to see Yankees-Dodgers haven't hooked up since 1981, so I'd kind of like to see that. But a lot of people probably would want to see Yankees-Mets.
Is that really the reason, or because you think the Dodgers pitching is very vulnerable?
Well, I think the Yankees are their pitching is a little suspect as well.
Yes.
Once you get past Garrett Cole, kind of like Forrest Gump, you never know what you're going to get with the box of chocolates there.
Well, the interesting thing, if you really think about it, all the teams that are left, and of course the Dodgers and Padres go at it tonight in their 5th and final game. Tomorrow night, Detroit and Cleveland go at it in their deciding game. All of these teams that are left have all got problems.
Yeah, there's shortcomings. I mean, there's not a dominant team. There's not anybody out there looking like the 98 Yankees, running through the league and just leaving everybody in their wake. And that's kind of the way baseball is now. And with this new format, I mean, it's never really been easier for like in the NFL, it's never really been easier for a 5 or 6 seed to get hot at the right time, like the Mets have done, and make a serious run through this.
And as I like to try to tell two teams on the right-hand side of this graphic, enjoy it while you can, because when we get healthy, we're better than both of you.
Wow.
Yeah. That's loser talk is what that is. So, Terry, on to the business at hand. You felt pretty certain yesterday that Will Levis will start Sunday. Do you feel even more confident?
I do, because Brian Callahan said today that he is going to start.
Yeah.
So
well, that would likely do it. Yeah.
So that kind of put that to bed right there.
Yeah.
And said he was able to go through the week, take his full complement of reps the last couple of days, and do what it is that they're trying to ask of him. So he's a go for Sunday.
What are you hearing in Indy?
Well, I think the Colts are listing Anthony Richardson perhaps as questionable. So who knows? They're keeping the suspense rolling up there, trying to decide between Richardson and Joe Flacco. Quite frankly, at this juncture of Richardson's career, Flacco probably gives them a better chance to win.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
But they are in much the same boat as the Titans in they've got a young quarterback and they've got to see what they have in him in order to let him go through the growing pains and see what it's like to, live life as an NFL quarterback. And with that comes, as we know too well here with the Titans, comes oftentimes a lot of mistakes and things that, you go, what's going on? But, the Colts, like I said, with Richardson, kind of in that same boat as the Titans.
I was going to say that. I was talking to a buddy last night. He said he feels better that the Colts would win if Flacco starts over Richardson. For you, Terry, why is that? I mean, obviously Richardson's a younger player. Flacco's got the experience, but I mean that shouldn't be the case, right? I mean,
yeah, but did you see Flacco a year ago in Cleveland?
No, I know that. It's just
you think they wouldn't die to ship Deshaun Watson to Siberia and bring Joe Flacco back?
But what does that say about Richardson and Levis, that both fan bases would almost prefer Rudolph and Flacco at this point?
Well, I think what you get into is just this. The fans are impatient. They want to win, right now. They want a guy to come right out of college, complete 70% of his passes and throw for 400 yards every week. But that's not the reality of the NFL. Unless you walk into a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or somebody like that, you're not going to have that type of immediate success most of the time. That said, it's happening more often now maybe than we used to see it, because you saw C.J. Stroud last year put on a show. You're seeing Jaden Daniels look really good here at the outset of his career. But by and large, quarterbacks still have to go through a process of where they learn, where they gain experience, and the vast majority of them are going to make their share of mistakes. And I think the Titans and the Colts both, I think you would like for those mistakes not to be so punitive as they have been for these two guys early on this season. Patrick Mahomes throws an interception. Nobody says a thing about it. They just, because they know that the next time he has the ball in his hands, he's probably going to take him down and score a touchdown. But when you're in the situation that the Titans and the Colts have been at the quarterback position with these young guys, when they screw up a possession and it turns into a turnover, or worse yet, points for the other team, you wonder, is the offense able to overcome that? And so, with quarterbacks who are already developed, you don't worry about that. But when you're averaging 17 points a game or whatever it is, you wonder why. That's why the mistakes have been so punitive.
Terry, if you really think about it, C.J. Stroud and now this young guy, Jaden Daniels with the Commanders, they're sort of fueling these two fan bases, Indy and the Titans, in why can't you be like that? And while it's not fair, these two are making it look ridiculously easy.
Yeah, they really are. And I think, but for the same reason that, other quarterbacks, most of them take time. how many people had written off Sam Darnold? How many people had written off Baker Mayfield? They were both high picks. I think they were in the same draft, weren't they? Weren't they number 1 and number 3 in the same draft?
You might be right about that.
So when you look at it that way, it's sort of like what the Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell said. He said, quarterbacks are not failing teams. Teams are failing quarterbacks. And that's why you see some of these guys with these organizations that can't develop a quarterback struggle and just go through guy after guy after guy. And maybe sometimes it's not, in the case of Mayfield or Darnold, it's not necessarily that they were bad players. They're not. It's they found the right situation and the right coach that's getting the talent to come out of them. Whereas the Browns, the Jets, the Panthers aren't able to do that.
Terry, in the whole argument of the team failing the quarterback, yeah, the Titans are guilty of the fact that in year 2 of Will Levis, the right side of their offensive line has not helped him a lick. But in terms of sort of the spaz plays that Will Levis has had where, he does some things twice this year that have virtually gotten his teams beaten, that doesn't have anything to do with the team failing him. It's him failing the team.
Yes, in those instances, you are correct. And I think that's what you have to, if you're Brian Callahan and the staff, that's what you've got to coach out of him. It's like, look, if you will follow the plan and you will execute the plan, you will have success. You can't go off script and try to lateral it or throw it away when that situation doesn't call for it. It's a matter of him being cognizant enough of the situation that he's in with down distance, wherever the line of scrimmage is, to know, okay, in this situation, I cannot do this. In this situation, I can do that. Those types of plays, save that for when you're down, you don't have any timeouts, and there's 12 seconds left, and you've got to try and make a play. Nobody's going to fault you if it happens then. But when you're there in the red zone and you've got a certain 3 points and all you got to do is not throw the ball to the other team, then you've got to take care of the football.
Okay. Anything else you want to leave us with about Sunday's noon matchup?
Well, Brian Callahan wouldn't tell us who is going to start at right tackle. But in deciding between Nicholas Petit-Frere and Leroy Watson, that's going to be interesting to see which way they go. If they make an in-season change, that certainly would be sending a message to Petit-Frere and to the team that, hey, if you don't perform to a certain level, we're not going to tolerate this. So we'll see on Sunday who they go with.
Is the message, if they bench him, you're out of here at the end of the year?
Well, I think he's got one more year on his contract. I think they bring him back to camp next year. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he could get back in the mix this year if he gets benched, because they really don't have an answer right now. They are searching for someone between Nicholas Petit-Frere, Leroy Watson, Jalen Duncan, John Ojukwu, somebody to step up, claim and solidify that spot so that they can do the things that they need to do to protect the quarterback.
Terry, thank you as always. We will see you Monday, 3 bells.
Sounds good.
Talk to you.
All right. Go
That's
Yanks.
Terry McCormick's daily Titans update here on the show. So most weeks I'll do sort of what I call tail of the tape of what I think is going to happen on Sunday. And here goes. Tail of the tape. Billy likes to skip who the home team is. I like putting it there. It's a check mark for the Titans because they are at Nissan Stadium. In some games, it's barely a check mark, if you know what I mean.
That crowd.
Running game, I give the Colts the advantage. The passing game, I barely give the Titans the advantage. I watched Indy a week ago, and the young guy, number 14, Alec Pierce from the University of Cincinnati, makes a couple of plays that are out of their mind. He's really good. If you're going to the game Sunday, watch him. I think the Titans get the check mark on defense. For most of the first 4 games, they've been really good. I am, again, not about to give the kicking game to the Titans. Nothing against the punter or the field goal kicker, but Indy damn near decapitated Mr. Stonehouse a year ago. This just in. They're sitting in their meeting room going, we can get him again. They don't trust that the Titans have figured it out. I don't trust that the Titans have figured it out. It's one of the mysteries to me that they're putting up with a level of incompetence in their kicking game that is absurd. I got that off my chest. Now to the intangibles.
They even got one tipped in Miami.
It's pathetic. And I don't know why Brian Callahan's putting up with it. I really don't. Because I think there are special teams teachers all over this country who can fix their problems like that. I don't get it. On to the intangibles. You see the 2 quarterbacks and the question marks. With Richardson, most of it is that he keeps getting hurt and he keeps running into harm's way, a little like Jake Locker did with the Titans. A little bit of a kamikaze kind of attitude. With Will Levis, I don't know what to say other than dumb decision-making that makes no sense, that has cost his team a chance at a halfway decent start. Will he get it together? I want to think so. I was the one all summer long telling Kelly, relax. He's going to be fine. I don't believe that anymore. I don't know what to believe. I don't trust him. Most of you don't trust his decision-making. And so one of the things that has to happen on Sunday is that starts to change. And for some unexplainable reason, I think it's going to. I'm taking the Titans in a close game, 24-17 at Nissan Stadium. What happened to the final score?
I forgot the graphic.
Really? Do you know what Kelly would do with that if he were here?
I don't care.
He would fine you.
Kelly can do whatever he wants.
Would fine you. He'd start getting into Ave Maria and all that kind of stuff.
Kelly can
what?
You know what?
I just want you to fill in the blank. I want to get it on the record, so maybe next week when we go on 94.9, we can play that and let Kelly know exactly what you're thinking. Go ahead and say it. Look into the camera and say what you're thinking.
I can't.
We'll go to the break, and then we'll get 2 things taken care of. We'll talk what I think is a really good weekend of college football with one game of the year type deal and a bunch right below it that are going to be really interesting. And then, and I know you've been waiting for this, plaster bets of the day, because recently there has been a level of excellence that is driving Kelly crazy. We have 7 picks this week. We're going to win a bunch of them. Stay tuned.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Man, what a college football weekend we're getting ready for. Billy, to me, the obvious, because at the moment, it's the game of the year in the Big Ten, is Ohio State having to go to Oregon. And, yeah, I've got my own theories. We all do about certain games. To me, if Ohio State is able to cram the football down Oregon's throat in the running game because they think they're physically stronger and can do that, if they're able to, they'll win the game. If not, I think they're going to get into one of these things like they did a year ago at Notre Dame, where they had to pull a rabbit out of the hat at the final drive, and aided by Notre Dame not being able to count to 11.
Yeah, Ohio State hadn't played anybody. I mean, Marshall had scored the most points on them all season, and that was 14. So, Ohio State's really good, but this is their first challenge of the season. You could argue Michigan State, but they're in a rebuild. That wasn't anything to write home about. Oregon, they're legit. I mean, they've, Dylan Gabriel, all of a sudden they've turned it on. They started slow, and everybody's like, what's going on with Oregon? But with them at home and Dan Lanning, it's hard to go against the Ducks here. Just because, and I know Ohio State's really good, but just the spot. Ohio State, you saw it with Ole Miss a couple of weeks ago. Ole Miss hadn't played anybody, and they go play Kentucky at home in Oxford, and they get their butt kicked. So this is a really tough test for Ohio State, but you're right. If they can run the football down their throat with those two running backs, it'll be a long day for Oregon. But Dan Lanning's a heck of a coach. I think he'll have them ready.
Have you disrespected Kentucky with no logo?
I don't know why that didn't show up.
So everybody's got these questions now because all of a sudden, when you beat the number one team in the country, you become relevant. So there's a lot of talk about the Vandy-Kentucky game, for instance. Is Vandy going to get their head out of the clouds enough to go play a really tough Kentucky team? I personally think you'll know the answer in the first 10 minutes of the game. If Kentucky jumps out 14-0, forget it. It's over. If, on the other hand, Vandy looks ready to play, controls the football some, keeps that time of possession thing where the winner's going to score 20 and the loser's going to score 14-17, then you might have something. By the way, we're about to give Kentucky a logo because they deserve it. They're pretty good. That win at Ole Miss is not getting nearly as much talk as it should for one reason. Vandy's upset of Alabama kind of made everybody forget that.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference between these two teams. Georgia had their chance, or Kentucky had their chance against Georgia, and they couldn't pull it off. Vanderbilt pulled it off against Alabama. And I think, Vanderbilt is people are still doubting them. I mean, they'll probably be doubted all season. No one thought they'd beat Virginia Tech. No one thought they would beat Alabama. This is a motivated team. I wouldn't bet against Vanderbilt. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think there's 1,000% chance they cover in this game. The line, and it's already gone down. It started at
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky. First off, Kentucky's offense, they're averaging 22 points per game, last in the SEC. So they're not going. They want to slow the game down as well. So this is going to be for either team. I mean, this is going to be 17-14, 24-21. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of offense in this game. But if there is, that means Diego Pavia and Vandy's lighting it up.
Okay, I'll take the other argument for a minute. For years, Vanderbilt football has dealt with adversity. They have never, ever, ever dealt with prosperity. And now, all of a sudden, they're in a new role of having to get their head out of the clouds because of a level of prosperity that nobody saw coming. They know how to do that? I don't know. I don't know how I could know. They've never experienced it.
Yeah, I think this team is made up of some different stuff. I think they're better than people think. And like I said, I'm not saying they're going to win, but they're going to go up there and compete at the very least. I don't see Vanderbilt getting blown out in this game. I mean, I think that there's a ton of pressure on Brock Vandagriff. I mean, their defense is going to perform. But if for some reason Pavia has another day, Vandagriff has to duel out with him. And I don't know that and the Vanderbilt defense isn't great shakes. I'm not saying they are. But Vandagriff is going to have to play really well, I think.
Tennessee, Florida has been a series in recent years that has had a ton of nasty stuff around it. They've hated each other. Now that Florida is coached by Sunbelt Billy, that has toned down considerably. You don't hear nearly the, vitriol that you used to. But now all of a sudden, Tennessee, for the first time, is experiencing something that's totally different than what they had in the first month. They don't look very explosive getting the ball down the field. For the first time at Tennessee, Nico looks a little unsure. Billy, I look for them to try to give him every opportunity to get the swagger back, get the ball down the field, and create chunk plays. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they looked awful against Arkansas. Offensive line was terrible. Nico looked out of sync. Dylan Sampson had a really good night, and if he's not on this team, Tennessee's offense is in a different spot this season. Tennessee hasn't beaten Florida by 2 scores. I think that's what it was. They haven't beaten Florida in 2 scores since 1992. So, but maybe that's at home. Give me just a second here. The stat is Tennessee obviously is around a 14.5-point favorite against Florida. The last time the Vols beat the Gators by more than 2 touchdowns, 1992. So that's been a while. Anytime these two teams play, it's weird. I think this is big for Nico because if he comes out and looks lost again, I think that's even more of a sign that this Tennessee team could really struggle this season. Because we know their defense is good, but if you don't have confidence in your quarterback and your offense in today's SEC, good luck.
Okay, the next one may well be the underrated game of the week in college football. Ole Miss at LSU. Personally, if the game were in Oxford, I feel pretty comfortable that I know who would win. It's Ole Miss. But the game isn't in Oxford. It's at night in Baton Rouge in what I believe is the toughest environment in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that having broadcast games at Tiger Stadium. It's a beast. Ole Miss is going to run into problems at some point. This is not going to be a 28-0 romp all over LSU. They're going to run into moments that don't feel very good. And I'm curious to see how they're going to handle it. Earlier in the week, I was totally convinced it was Ole Miss. I don't know what to think. I'll say this. You won't see me putting it in plaster bet of the day because I haven't got a clue.
It's going to be a heck of a game. Both offenses are top 20 nationally in yards per play. Take the over if you're looking at a play in this game. You know, whoever wins this game is still in the conversation of a playoff. Because for either of these teams, if you lose, you're probably out of it.
This is an elimination game.
Yeah,
I mean, you can call it what you want, but it is.
Right, which is what I'm saying. So, I mean, for Ole Miss, that we got to believe they're the better team. They've got the better quarterback, you would think.
But I don't think it's by much.
No, I don't think it's by much. And maybe the edge is LSU being at home. It's hard to bet against LSU at home. I can't wait to see what happens. LSU still has some defensive issues. I mean, you've seen it. They've given up some points to some teams where you just look at that score and you go, what in the world? Did they not get better defensively? So, but Ole Miss
slightly better, and that's about it.
Yeah. If their defense doesn't come to play a little bit better, LSU will lose. And, man, that fan base is going to be ticked.
So the next one is the Red River Shootout. And if you look through the history of it in the last 15 years or so, there's no question going in. Texas is the far better football team. There's no comparison in the two teams' offenses. Now, I will grant you, Oklahoma's pretty good on defense, and that therein lies their chance to win the game. Texas will start Quinn Ewers. Oklahoma's hoping he's a little bit rusty after about a 1-month layoff. Billy, it's easy to sit there and say, yeah, take Texas. But the way the series has gone tells me take the points. Oklahoma's not going to win the game, but they're likely to cover.
I'm with you. 9 of the last 11 meetings have been decided by one score. And though Oklahoma has won 8 of those 11 games. So Oklahoma, like you said, the last 15 years or so has owned this series. I mean, they find ways to win over the years against Texas. I think a big key here is Quinn Ewers back to 100%.
Who knows?
Because if he is, okay, you know, and not that Arch Manning was bad, but you'd like to have Quinn Ewers in there against Oklahoma. Either way, Texas is going to win the game. I think it's just a question of if Oklahoma can cover because their offense is putrid. It got a little bit better over the last couple of weeks, but yeah, Texas is going to win. Just can they cover?
The next one, to me, is simply Penn State's better than Southern Cal. But James Franklin has got to open it up and apply knockout punches when he has a chance.
Get rid of this Cro-Magnon offense. I mean,
because if they lose at Southern Cal, you are going to hear the stuff hit the fan in Pennsylvania. Because that fan base knows they're better than Southern Cal. But the question is, will they be tomorrow? I don't know. I also don't particularly trust Drew Aller. He doesn't feel to me like a national title type of quarterback, but we'll see.
I think USC wins. I think with that offense, they can score enough to keep Penn State off the field. Drew Aller has not been that impressive. They're at home. I mean, this is a massive game and opportunity.
It's a huge game
for USC. They have way more motivation than Penn State. If USC loses, good night playoff.
Well, yeah,
but if they win, then you've got Notre Dame. That Notre Dame game is really the only remaining challenge, and Notre Dame's beatable. So
USC's got how many losses?
2. This is the season, and they're not.
Yeah, this is. They have to win, and then they have to win against Notre Dame.
Yeah, and
get in, they're not getting in with 3.
But this game can lead to a Notre Dame victory.
Oh, it's sort of a springboard.
If you lose here, okay, whatever. We're not making the playoff. You win over Penn State tomorrow night. That's all of a sudden you're starting to talk more about USC.
The last one I put in there is Schizo, Arizona at BYU. Arizona was good enough to go to Utah, admittedly without Cam Rising, and win going away 23-10 at a very difficult place to come out a winner. You go to whatever that thing, Eccles at Utah, that's a really good win.
Mm-hmm.
And then a week later at home, they can't beat Texas Tech. Arizona's all over the map. And then there's BYU, which has come out of nowhere. The Fighting Kalani Sitakis are undefeated.
Yep.
And they're a 3-point favorite at home. I want to see how that one turns out.
Me too. Arizona's sneaky. Watch out for Arizona. Noah Fafita and Tedero McMillan, one of the best duos in the country. Look out, BYU.
Shall we now get to investments?
Let's get to investments. Let's make some money.
Oh, believe me, we're going to.
Bart Durham Injury Law would like to make some money as well. They present Plaster's Bet of the Day every day as we move on to see what happened last night with a couple of those picks. And here it is. The Preds lost, but the Niners got a win. They had to hold on late.
Boy, they did.
Last night against the Seahawks.
Disappointed in the Preds thing.
Wedgwood's
gotta
be
Wedgwood a pass on the first 3 goals, but the fourth is absurd. There's no reason that should be an NHL goal.
Preds fought. I mean, they scored.
Oh, they did.
With, what, minute
Third
and a half?
period. I loved it.
I left with 5 minutes left.
Shame on you.
And, of course, I'm in my car listening. They score. That happens every time I leave a Preds game early.
Well, then leave earlier. Get that 4-3 goal earlier. Okay, let's start early in the day because I'm going to map out how you're going to make the money. It's going to start at 11 o'clock with 2 Big Ten games. First of all, who's kidding who? Rutgers today is a better football team than Wisconsin. They just simply are. Right now, they feel like they're better coached. They feel like they're more physical at the line of scrimmage. That line ought to be 4.5 or 5. I'm taking Rutgers to get you off to a good start monetarily. You got that?
Got it.
That's an 11 o'clocker. Here's an 11 o'clocker that I'm going out on a limb. There have been a lot of jokes made about Iowa and their offense, and rightfully so a year ago. It was dreadful. But at the same time, as pathetic as they were on offense, they recorded 10 wins. Can you believe that? They had 10 wins a year ago with that putrid offense. So now they're at home against a Washington that's a little bit like Arizona. Some weeks they're pretty good. Some weeks they're not pretty good. They're going to go to Carver Hawkeye. That's actually the basketball arena. Well, they'll walk by Carver Hawkeye on the way into whatever the name of the stadium is. I'm just taking Iowa. Just flat out taking Iowa, the home team.
McNamara.
McNamara what?
Cade McNamara.
Oh. Well,
you don't know Iowa's quarterback?
No, I thought you were going to say it was McNamara Stadium.
Oh, no. Cade McNamara is their quarterback. Their stadium is Kinnick Stadium.
Kinnick Stadium. With the pink visiting locker room.
What?
Yeah. The locker room is painted pink.
Really?
And it's sort of a psychological ploy that Iowa has been using.
Wow, I like that.
So
I'd like to go to see a game out there.
I'm going to get you off to a really good start. By the way, put double the money on Rutgers that you do on Iowa. And then at 2:30, ignore Billy. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Take Penn State because they're a better football team than USC. They just simply are. They got better athletes on the defensive end. Defensively, it's not even close. Offensively, what is holding Penn State back is James Franklin's offense.
They haven't changed a lick.
To open it up because they're going to have to, because Miller Moss is going to score some for USC. That said, pay no attention to Billy. Listen to me. I'm the one that puts my neck out on the line. I'm taking Penn State.
Fight on.
Yeah, whatever. Next.
Oh.
I am taking Vandy.
What do we have here?
For a couple of reasons. Number one, I think they are going to get their head out of the clouds enough to be competitive. I am not going to sit here and tell you that I think they win on the road. I don't think they're going to win on the road. But do I think they're going to cover? Yeah, I do. Low scoring. If the game gets past the mid-20s, then I'm probably in trouble. But if Kentucky plays it low scoring and so does Vandy, those points are going to matter. Take Vandy plus the points.
It's going to be interesting.
And then the game of the day in college football. That line, by the way, dropped down to about 3.5. Billy said it earlier, and he's right. Ohio State really has not faced a lot. And so they're going to go into a stadium. Yeah, they'll have fans there, but Oregon will be the home team, and you'll know it. And that Outson Stadium is a problem for people. It makes a lot of noise. Dylan Gabriel will make a lot of noise. He'll have to improvise because Ohio State's better at the line of scrimmage than his team. I think he'll do just enough to cover that 4.5, and it may well come down to a drive in the final 2 minutes to determine who will be the leader in the Big Ten. I'm taking Oregon plus the points.
I like it.
Now to the National Football League. I'm just simply taking the Titans. Titans minus 2.5 at home against Indy. They're going to find a way to win. Pay no attention to Billy and all of his second guessing. Billy doesn't put his neck out in the line. I do.
They're not winning that game.
Yes, they are.
Joe Flacco. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, here's the problem with old Joe. He's a statue. Titans pass rush. We'll get to him some.
That's a good point.
Second one. This is an 8:30 in the morning game. Are you going to get up?
No.
To watch this game?
Absolutely not.
Neither am I. But if you do, take the Bears. Jacksonville, I don't know what's going on there. I kind of think
Trevor Banks Stadium.
This is
when they named their stadium after Trevor Lawrence.
This is
everything went downhill.
But this one's over in Europe somewhere.
True. I'm just saying, when you name your stadium after your quarterback, that might create some issues.
This is a moment for the Bears. Jacksonville's looking to salvage a season. The Bears are looking at a little bit of a get over the hump kind of game. Road win. I think the Bears are going to do it. They were very impressive a week ago, admittedly, against Carolina, which almost doesn't count. But the Bears are trying to get toward the upper half of the league, and a win Sunday might help them do it. Billy, they should pay no attention to what you're putting out there.
All I'm saying is the Colts are beating the Titans, and USC is beating Penn State. Those are my arguments.
The problem is
I don't put my neck on the line.
Absolutely. Yeah. On Monday, by the way, can you put up our little graphic about the new station?
Oh, sure.
Okay, Monday, 3 o'clock. Tell all your friends. In fact, tell 100,000 of your friends, of your closest friends. We'll be on from 3 to 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. We're moving to 94.9 The Fan. We are very excited about that. I think you're going to like some things that we're going to do a little bit differently in the future. One of those being that we will use a lot more text line to interact with you all. Now, I know what you're saying, which is, Plaz, every other show's been doing this for years. Well, I'm a little slow to technology, but I know it's important. We're going to do it. We'll see you Monday an hour early. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Go Oregon.